All right. Hey, man, what's going on, Nikki? Hope you've been well, man. Yeah, figured I'd put this video out so we can maybe start another little project here. It's been a while since we've made a game, and the Target Light thing. I still might put that out. I don't know. I ran into all these crazy performance issues since we changed all the way the game worked, since we weren't stomping and with the gravity, and I was like, well, the game was designed with that stomping involved, so there wasn't as many bullets on the screen. So I was like, well, if we're going to do like a regular shooting game, we need to pump up the bullets. And then I was getting crazy performance issues. I feel like I might be able to fix it and do the code a little bit more efficiently, but I just decided to start fresh because I really wanted to publish the next game to HTML5, which I'm hoping to do with this game. But I went to the forums to try and get some answers on getting things to run better in HTML5, because even this very small prototype runs like shit in HTML5, which is disconcerting. It kind of sucks. But then I was thinking, I was like, Flash really isn't going to die until the end of 2020, so, this game would fully see its course, of exposure by then anyway, and probably even like a few games after. So I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to fight it. I'm going to just kind of keep developing in Flash and, just ride out that wave if I can't get the HTML5 games to run smoothly. I've been playing around with the Stencil 4.0. It seems pretty nice. Not really too many changes, even though I know there's a lot of behind the scenes things going on. So yeah, in the future, if I can't get the HTML, like, I'd like to do this game in HTML5, but I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand why it doesn't run well. It plays great in Flash and PC when I test it, and it just runs like absolute garbage in HTML. So anyway, and that kind of led me to really change the way I wanted to make this game. I really wanted to do like more of an event. It was going to be like a short kind of game, but I was going to do like a big world. Like I wanted to stop making these kind of games where I'm spawning stuff off the screen, and I wanted to make a game where you actually explore the level. And it was going to be like this top-down type game where it was almost like a time attack mode, and it still is, but now we're just simplifying it and going back to the old way. So I had this big world set up, I had like a very large scene, and you were going to be able to kind of go around and try to find power-ups and time power-ups. I want to basically start with like 10 seconds on the clock, and then you've got to race around and try to defeat enemies to get more time power-ups and find treasure chests. And then you can collect gold while doing this, and increase your point score. And then when you die or run out of time, you can go and then level up your character and then do it again, which is essentially going to stay the same. But I really wanted to have like this large world that you could actually explore and find enemies and find excuse me, like treasure chests and stuff like that. And I wanted like a lot of like destructible environments and stuff to like I wanted like a lot of like little secrets to find. And I started doing more and more stuff with the HTML and trying to get it to run better, and I got it to run a little bit better. And I was like, well, if I switch it back to like the old school way of what you and me had been doing with the shooting games and spawning stuff off of the screen, I got much better performance. So I started going that route with it, as much as I really don't want to, just because I feel like I always end up making kind of the same type of games. But here I am, So anyway, after all that, and then I changed the movement code down to make it so you follow the mouse. But yeah, I changed everything around to kind of simplify it to fit HTML5, and I still can't get it to the freaking works. It just runs very poorly. It runs a lot better in Chrome than it does Firefox, which is interesting because usually Firefox is the best. But anyway, man, here's the new game that I'm thinking about. And I want to go short for the next couple games. I want the size of this game to be like the size of the original humanoid space race, where I want it to be like this short, addicting, like time attack mode, where what I was kind of describing before is I want the player to start with like 10 seconds on the clock, and I want this game to have literally 2 scenes in it. I want it to be like this fast-paced kind of game where you might be dying a lot, or you might be, running out of time quickly. And, I want the first scene to be the title screen. And then the second scene to be this scene right here that you're seeing. And I want it to just like immediately start the timer and just be like, ready, go, boom. I want like fast-paced music. I want, and kind of have this urgency for the player to kind of get going and kill enemies and try to get time power-ups, So I've got to work on a way to like make like a really seamless and easy tutorial wrapped within the game, because there's not even going to be a tutorial scene, but I'll make it like real easy where I'll immediately, have like a real short description like collect power-ups, get more time, kill more stuff, get a better score, rank up, do it again kind of thing. So there'll be time power-ups, which give time bonuses, and then there'll be like more elite type enemies, which will give time bonuses. And then, towards the end of, I'm right now kind of figuring out all the spawn packages and stuff. And then when you come to like an end of a rank of a spawn package, there'll be like somewhat of a boss character. I mean, think about like a glorified, I don't know if you ever ended up playing the time attack mode in Save to Kill, is this mode is just going to be like that, but the time's always going to be against you. You're going to have to defeat enemies and collect power-ups to keep your time going. And I really have to balance it. Like I want the player to like be frantically kind of like looking for more time. I don't want these small enemies here to like grant you like a second time bonus. I don't want the player to like kill a few small enemies and all of a sudden have like 4 minutes left on the clock. And I want it to always be like the player barely has enough time. So they're always searching for, the time bonuses that come out, and, but then also it's going to be a high score chaser too. So not only do you need to keep your time going, kind of like the first or Human Space Race, where, it became this like, it became like this fun game of like getting all the time power-ups, getting all the special power-ups, and then like not letting any of the enemies go to waste, like trying to kill as many enemies as possible. As you can see, here's one of the spawn packages that I have here, so the player is going to want to try to get all of these enemies if they can. Oops, I messed up here. That one spawns one too many enemies. So, you can see here I've got all my animations kind of in. So this has like idle down, idle. Well, actually, it's only going to be idle down ever, I guess. But I originally was going to have you control the character with ASWD and then be able to like aim with this and then dash. Now the game's called Dashman. So as you can see, so I simplified everything where your player follows the mouse. I mean, we might just only have one idle animation. It seems like it's never going to be able to idle up, because he's always going to just follow the mouse and then go down and then idle. So we'll have like one idle animation. I mean, the player's not going to be idling, but like all of these things are working. So, the game is like follows the mouse and then he dashes. And as you can see right now, I did a kind of a clever thing where instead of having another like dash left, dash right animation, I just kind of slapped another character actor on top of him, which acts as a separate collision box to create our explosion, which then will damage enemies and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a simple game. It's got 2 buttons, although I think I will do, like we always do, an ultimate attack, which I'll probably push to spacebar. Although I was really hoping on doing a game that literally just had 1 button input, like, because I think it's really nice to just have this real simple boom. And you're going to have to like do your mana consumption. Like you can see my health bar, I got a health bar here, and then I've got a mana bar here, and if you either run out of time or you run out of health, the round is over. And then at the end of the round, like every single enemy, small enemies, and there'll be even more power-ups like treasure chests or whatever, kind of like we did in Save to Kill, the gold power-up, there'll be gold, there'll be currency in this game. And then when you die, when you die, right on this screen, boom, I want the level ups to come. So for right now, I'm thinking the level ups will be movement speed, dash, which will be dash speed and your dash damage and your explosion. See the explosion that I'm creating here? It's a save to kill sprite that you did. That's going to grow and get bigger as you level up your dash, and your dashes will cover way more ground because your dash speed will be a lot better. I didn't want to break up, the level ups into like dash speed, dash damage, dash AoE, It'll just be movement speed, dash, and then I'm thinking like mana, or I'm going to call, instead of mana, I'm going to call it dash juice in this game. Dash juice, which will increase your dash juice pool, your max mana basically, and then your mana regain, and you're gonna have to collect power-ups too. So I'm gonna have to like balance all that. Like I don't want the player like being able to just like, because you get invincibility, you get a little bit of invincibility when you dash here. So I don't want the player to be able to just dash all around. And then the other power-up I think will be in your ultimate attack. Like it's gonna be a very hefty cost, but you'll be able to gain more ultimate attacks. And ultimate attacks will be able to destroy anything on the screen, kind of like what we've been doing. Because eventually some enemies are going to shoot bullets and stuff, and I'm going to have spikes and stuff. Because like right now I can dash into these enemies and not take damage. I gain a little bit of invincibility. But like spikes and everything, it doesn't matter if you're dashing. You can't dash through spikes, and you won't be able to dash through enemy bullets. I don't want this to turn into like a bullet hell, although I feel like it's going to end up, because I feel like it's just a great way to challenge the player, especially like laser beams and stuff. So, I mean, we'll see how we get with it. But yeah, I mean, I can see maybe like some lasers coming out on the sides. It's just like I want to try to get away from making the same kind of games, but it just seems like I always end up going back to there. But I feel like this unique kind of way of movement will really set this kind of game apart, and it being like fast-paced and like short, and then only having one scene. So what's going to happen is you're going to be able to kind of rank up in, in Save to Kill we had like a 10-star ranking or whatever. This game's going to have like a 30-star ranking, and your rank will dictate what kind of enemies spawn. Harder enemies will spawn, which will make the game harder, but the harder enemies will spawn more gold and more points. So you're going to get the best point totals, the higher ranking that you are. And, they'll drop more gold so you can level up more. And then also I'm going to be spawning different packages of enemies depending on what rank the player is, and the enemies are going to scale. Like their health will be higher up, or they'll just be straight up different enemy types that spawn. So it's only going to be one scene, but this scene will be completely different. Like, from rank 1, to rank 30 or whatever, how many of ranks I do will be completely different, so that's a way for like this one scene to dynamically change as the player levels up. And I don't really even want another like level up scene. I want like with the player to die, I want there to come up a thing like you died, and then like boom, your gold total will come up, your level ups will come up, and then right underneath of that will be like the go again button or whatever, or retry button, so the player can quickly level up and then boom, get right back into it. And if there are another rank, the level will change, which simplifies things in us only needing to do one background. Now, I was actually thinking about maybe doing kind of like the same background, but maybe like different color palettes maybe, and then just putting different animation frames in, and then switching animation frames of the background depending on what rank your character is and stuff like that. But we'll get into all that. But I'm looking to just like really make this game simple and fun. So I mean, you can see it's cool. It's it's got really good and all of these attributes are in. You can see on my screen, I've got movement speed and dash level, dash speed, all this stuff, all these things drawn on here. So all this stuff is programmed in here with game attributes. Like you can increase the movement speed and the dash speed, the dash damage and stuff. It's all kind of there and kind of sort of working. I need to do a lot, but it's fun. So, and I'm gonna just right now I'm working on, I created a spike. I've created this simple small fry enemy, and I'm just going to start working on like small enemy spawns right now. Then I'm going to work on spike spawns. Then I'm going to work on like a slightly more elite enemy. Then I'm going to work on, like time power-ups and when they spawn and stuff like that. And then I'm going to work on actually putting the timer into the game. And, so there'll be some power-ups to collect too. I want there to be like there's going to be like a power-up that gives you like infinite dash juice for like a limited period of time, so the player can just like go nuts. So you can see right now, if I'm spamming this, and not killing enemies, like I run out, but like I want there to be a power up where the player can just go nuts, where he'll be fully invincible and he can just like zip around the screen. And then there'll be just a regular straight up dash juice power up, which will just increase his dash juice a little bit. There'll be a health power up that comes and increases his health. Because don't forget, if a person's playing this game and there's not going to be short levels, it's only going to be one. So as the player starts playing and progressing, I don't want them to like run out of health power ups or mana power ups or even their ultimate attack. So there'll be ultimate attack power ups that come in that'll just increase your ultimate attack by 1, so the player doesn't run out. So there'll be some cool stuff for them to collect, and there'll be like a jewel, like a currency power up too for the player to collect. So yeah, I'm hoping that like someone kind of does their first run and they might only last like 20 seconds, and then they might die or they might just run out of time and then be like, oh man, I missed the time power up. Like if you're all the way over here and like a time power up spawns all the way down here and starts going across the screen quickly, I'd like the player to like kind of boom, like try to zip down here to grab it, and then maybe another one will spawn up there and they might miss it and they might run out of time that way, or they might be getting too crazy and then they might get hit a couple times and die. And I want the player to be like, oh man, if I just leveled this up a little bit more, I had a little bit more health, or I had a little bit more of a, if I leveled up my dash speed a little bit or my movement speed, I would have been able to get that power up, and then I could have kept going. So, and then as they rank up, then they'll be able to get to the big daddy scores, and hopefully players will get kind of addicted to it. And then once they reach the final rank, where like the enemies won't really be getting any tougher, but they can still increase their abilities. Hopefully people will get kind of addicted to just kind of trying to put up a high score. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with the game, So, hopefully it won't take too long to do. Now, as far as the, I think first, we always do, we always work on the hero, getting the hero in. And what I'm thinking with this game is going more of a comic style like we've been doing. And this guy, I want this dude to be like a little ball of electricity almost. I want him to be like almost like a Looney Tunes character. The best way I could even describe it would be like I don't know if you've ever played the game Splosion Man. But that's a really cool game where the dude is like this little ball of fire and he's just nuts. He's kind of always like breathing and panting, kind of like a dog. He's like he's just nuts. He's like this crazy little guy. He's like made of fire. He's just this like over the top, like ridiculous, like entity of fire that jumps around the screen. It's like a platforming game. I can send you some links to that. And like Super Meat Boy, like the graphics, the simplicity of like Super Meat Boy, like really short character, with like really stubby legs, because it's going to be a little challenging because we're gonna have all these animations here, and I want him to be obviously like yellow, almost like radiating electricity, and like his face can be like, I want him to always be like pulsating. Always be like constantly moving, always, like he's like this little kind of like Looney Tunes character of electricity. And then he'll further have to like get his dash juice to keep his dash up. And then you can see when he dashes, what we'll do is just like a dash. So there'll be like dash up, like dash upright. Let me get my mana going here. So we like dash down, dash right, dash up, dash, so there's, so for right now though, I think maybe what we can do is just do some concepts of what you're thinking. Like, I don't know if, however it's faster for you, if it's easier just to maybe just sketch on paper what you're kind of, how you can kind of envision that. like just picture like a difference between like a cross between like Explosion Man and Super Meat Boy, just like over the top. Like I want his like eyes to be like really bulging out, kind of with like this like ridiculous like big grin on his face, and just like always twitching, always pulsating, So I don't want you to go into like making all these animation frames yet or putting anything even into the computer, but if you wanted to just more so, just like maybe draw a couple sketches on what you're kind of thinking so we can go into the right direction with him. And then after that we can do, walk up, walk left, walk left, walk right, walk down right, run or whatever, all the different animation frames which are in and working. And then we'll figure out his dash, which will essentially be like, it's just a sprite that I put over it, which is what collides with which is what deals damage to the enemies. And then that'll just be like a straight up like, like dash, almost kind of like explosion, like with Save to Kill. But for right now, if you just wanted to look at like concepts of that, I mean, like the feel of this game, I just put this placeholder background in, of course, like I'm thinking think about almost like an arena battle. I'm not even going to have this game scroll. Like, I don't think I'm even going to have, I think I'm just going to make it like an arena thing where you're just kind of like hanging out right here. I'm not going to have the background scroll because I want enemies to kind of come up from the bottom, up from the sides, all this stuff. So I'm thinking about kind of like, if you looked at Explosion Man too, the backgrounds and the levels and that, it's like the sci-fi space kind of thing where like they were contaminating Explosion Man in there and like doing almost like a laboratory. I'm almost thinking that, like as far as a futuristic, almost like kind of Mega Man feel. But yeah, I mean, if this game only really had like a handful of enemy types and only had like one background in it, only a couple of scenes, I think we could get it done in like the same amount of time as Space Race, the original. So let me know what you think about this, man.